I'm James Wright. Today I'll be discussing the significance of church-based youth ministry programs for adolescents. After analyzing existing themes in the stimulus materials, I developed the following research question. Should churches expand their youth ministries for adolescents to support social connection and reduce rates of loneliness and depression? Youth groups are typically weekly meetings where adolescents have the opportunity to learn about their faith, engage with their peers in conversations, group discussions, and games, and grow in the relationships and individual character. By fostering an engaging environment, these ministries can ameliorate the ongoing predicament of adolescent isolation. I integrated stimulus number 2, the U.S. Surgeon General's Our Epidemic of Loneliness and Isolation, which provides a basis for my argument by exploring an extensive array of deplorable health conditions linked to social isolation. Additionally, Faria et al.'s Spaces of Consumption, Connection, and Community, stimulus number 1, analyzes how coffee shops impact societies by creating community, describing their position as a third place or social environment beyond people's homes and workplaces. Likewise, youth groups are structured to function as community spaces for adolescents outside of their schools and beyond their homes. According to a 2023 national survey conducted by the CDC, 40% of US high school students experience common symptoms of depression. Many teenagers suffer from such conditions due to a lack of social connection or peer support. The US Surgeon General asserts that lacking social connection is as detrimental to one's health as smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. This bold statistic portrays social disconnection as a serious health crisis and implies the importance of accessible, engaging community spaces to connect secluded individuals. After evaluating existing research, I determined that the best solution is for churches to hone their youth ministries to serve as social spaces ministering to the mental well-being and faith development of adolescents. In addition, my argument comprises of 3 justifications. Firstly, adolescent loneliness is a pervasive social concern. In addition to 40% of US high school students experiencing symptoms of depression, 30% experienced poor mental health, 20% accumulated serious suicidal thoughts, and a further 10% attempted suicide. This study further identified supportive factors such as sports involvement and strong school connections to lower mental health and suicide risks. The U.S. Surgeon General asserts that social isolation is also associated with a 29% increase in heart disease, 32% in stroke risk, as well as elevated cardiovascular risks such as obesity and high blood pressure, and the risk of premature death for young people. These statistics emphasize the importance of finding strong social connections to prevent destructive consequences. Secondly, church-based youth ministry programs are optimally positioned to provide social connection and support. Patricia Snell from the University of Notre Dame describes how youth groups help adolescents understand objective morality and adhere to moral values. Moreover, they help adolescents maintain social church connections even while scarcely attending other religious services. Finally, they help them accumulate social skills and adult support, which are both very beneficial. The Harvard Human Flourishing Program furthers Snell's findings by asserting that religious environments that offer faith engagement can lower these 3 prevalent factors: depression, substance abuse, and risky behaviors such as having sex at a young age. Finally, teenagers should actively engage in youth ministries to develop strong social connections and reduce loneliness. The U.S. Surgeon General asserts that social connection can positively impact physical health. It describes how individuals with more purpose and connection are more likely to engage in health-promoting behaviors such as mental checkups. Additionally, adults view social connection as their primary source of belonging, purpose, and life determination. The Yale Divinity School's Twin Calamities, Declining Churches, Struggling Youth, furthers these findings by asserting a correlation between the decline in church communities and the crisis of struggling and isolated adolescents. It asserts that less than 30% of entering college freshmen can discuss their hopes for a vocation that serves the common good. Additionally, NASDAQ's quote presents participation in youth group as a key component to developing friendships, strengthening mental health, and honing their senses of vocation and responsibility. One alternative solution to youth ministry I considered was church-based mentoring that pairs adolescents with adequate adult members. One existing application of this solution is the Let's Connect program, which seeks to support young people facing peer victimization and social rejection. However, an intricate study conducted by Falavolta and Lyons, two researchers from the University of Virginia, followed 693 adolescents across 27 different mentoring programs and identified no significant transformations in peer social acceptance overall. This engendered the conclusion that mentoring alone is likely insufficient for isolated youth, whereas youth groups could be more beneficial as they are structured around peer connection. I identified two major limitations of my solution. Firstly, youth groups can be constrained by poor motivation. Barna reports that 1/3 of teenagers said that church is boring. To combat this, youth groups can cultivate engagement through youth ownership integration, where adolescents are given the opportunity to lead their peers in discussions, games, and similar activities. Also, youth groups may not provide the depth of support needed for every teenager, especially if the program lacks strong leadership. Churches can equip their leaders with training, such as from the Yale Divinity School Certificate in Youth Ministry Leadership, which is a rigorous online course. Additionally, they can help peers by seeking feedback from attendees to figure out what aspects are working and what aspects need to be honed to make it more beneficial. In conclusion, youth groups should bring together adequate adult members and teenagers to help them develop a sense of belonging alongside their peers, cultivate faith engagement through meaningful discussions, and foster a strengthening of social skills as well as a sense of belonging, purpose, and leadership. These attributes will ultimately help today's adolescents grow into responsible, accountable, and impactful leaders of today's generation. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Okay, so a couple of follow-up questions on your presentation. Thank you for sharing. As you were researching your topic, how did you approach and synthesize differing perspectives in order to reach a conclusion?
As I was researching this, I used the perspective, the scientific perspective from the U.S. Surgeon General's Our Epidemic of Loneliness and Isolation. I used the detrimental outcomes associated with isolation, and I implemented this into my argument and various pieces of evidence to support my claims. Additionally, I implemented the social perspective found in Yale Divinity School's Twin Calamities, Declining Churches, Struggling Youth, to assert that peers that are lacking social connection and lacking faith engagement in their communities are struggling, and I connected this claim that church-based connection programs could support adolescents, and I took that piece of evidence that 30% of entering college freshmen can talk about their hopes for a vocation that serves the common good, and I connected this to my claims that youth ministry serves as a place where they can feel a sense of belonging.
Oh, thank you. What is the implication of your findings to your community?
Youth groups are ultimately designed to connect secluded adolescents and help them engage with their peers and become accountable members in their society. Specifically in Albany, I'm not aware of the religious affiliation with Albany's residents, as this could serve as a factor in how effective the youth ministry would be. But ultimately, the goal would be for youth ministries to help adolescents who are struggling with peer connection and mental health in Albany to better connect with their peers and develop a sense of belonging and purpose.
Thank you so much for sharing.